not evenly spaced, right? So that tells us there's something a little funky going on with the rhythm. But if you look, each of the QRSs has a P and a T. So P, QRS, T, P, QRS, T, P, QRS, T. They're just not evenly spaced. And that's going to be an indication that you have an arrhythmia, okay? So not normal or regular rhythm.
Because there's not much of a net.
No, there's probably something, I don't know why I did that. There's probably something weird going on with how the electrical activity is either being generated or moving through the heart, and it's probably a generation problem with your FAM. And it could be that the arrhythmia is not really a problem, it's a normal thing, maybe because of how you're breathing that speeds it up and slows it down. It could be, you know, you've been sitting in the Barca lounger watching TV, and you get up real quickly, and then you walk around, and then you sit back down. So then we would have pacing that's not consistent as well. So when you get up, we might expect the heart rate to go up a little bit, okay? As you're standing in front of a refrigerator, then it might go back down. Okay. This is sinus tachycardia. Tachy means we're going too fast. So this is going to be a fast heart rate. Here's a normal one. Here's tachycardia. What do you notice? A whole lot more cycles, right? So if we counted these up, and how many of these cycles we have in a minute, we'd have more than 100. All right? So again, that might be a normal thing if you were exercising, right? But if you were sitting in the Barca lounger and watching TV and you had a heart rate that was faster than 100 beats per minute, then that would probably not be a good thing. All right, if your heart rate can go too fast, it also can go too slow. This is sinus bradycardia. So brady is going to be the slow heart rate. Normally it's less than 60 beats per minute. And again, if you don't have a heart rate that is fast enough, then the pumping of the blood through the heart may not be adequate to feed your brain and your kidneys and your digestive system and all that kind of stuff. So again, if we counted the cycles in a minute, there'd be less than 60. For some people, this is normal. If you are an elite athlete, for example, and you have a very efficient heart, it may be that you get enough force generated that you don't need to have so many. So again, it may be, but if you go too low, even if you're, you know, a fabulous athlete, that can be a problem. This is probably a more immediate problem than a fast heart rate. Okay, atrial flutter is the next thing that you have. So I want you to look at the picture. Here's the QRS, right? And so what we're going to see here is QRS, then there's a T, then there's a T. And if we keep going, we have QRS, T, P, QRS, T, P, QRS, T. What am I seeing on here? There's something funky on here. I'm wondering if this is the right picture. Does your picture look like this?
Yeah.
All right. What we should see here is there should be extra P waves. Let me take a look at this. I may swap that one out for you.
What about that little bump right after QRS?
QRS. This one? This is P, but we should
No,
have...
right after it. Like some of them have a little bump.
I don't think that is... I mean, it could be T, but I don't think so. I think we should have more obvious... yours is different? Okay, let me look at yours. And it could be when I made the PowerPoint, I put the wrong one in. Yeah, yours is right. Mine is not. And so, if you look there, you'll see PQRS.
That's regulation. The flutter's the same.
The flutter's the same? Yeah, you're looking at the wrong one. All right, let me check that. But again, what we would expect to see are multiple P waves. So everything else looks kind of normal, although the heart may be going a little fast. We have more P waves. And here's what happens. Your SA node is going to be generating signals more quickly than we want them to, so faster than 80 to 100 times per minute. So the atria are going to contract more frequently. Normally the QRS and the T, what's going on in the ventricles, looks normal. And the reason it looks normal is, remember, we have that delay thing in the AV node, and so we don't get all the signals from the atria going into the ventricle. All right? All right, let me check on that picture. That looks weird to me. Here's atrial fibrillation. And here, the P waves are going so fast that we don't see nice normal P waves at all. Again, QRS is normal, T may be normal, but the P's are weird. They're way fast. Yeah?
I Google imaged the atrial flutter and it looks like it's right.
The atrial flutter looks like it's
If
right?
you want to take a look. But then there is a picture where it has multiple
Has
P waves.
multiple P's? Yeah, and so it could be that atrial flutter, it'll come across, depending on how fast your P waves are, as more or less. But here's what we want to remember.
Yeah,
We're
that
gonna have
that
more.
photo pops up, but then there's, you know,
Then there's
other ones, yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can find a better one. Okay, I think that this is not illustrative of what I want you to remember with atrial flutter. Atrial fibrillation. Okay, this is premature ventricular contraction. And if you look at this one, I'm going to just start in the middle. Here's a normal PQRST, normal PQRST, no P, a weird looking QRS, and then kind of a normal T, and then it goes back to normal. This is indicating that I have an ectopic focus. Something is causing a part of the heart to depolarize faster than we would expect it to. Okay? So it is acting as its own little pacemaker just for a little bit. You may have had this experience if it feels like, oh my gosh, I have like an extra weird heartbeat in there. It might have been, again, an ectopic focus with a premature ventricular contraction. This one goes down because it's probably on the left side of the heart. Depending on where it is, it may go up, maybe an extra, something that looks like a QRS. But because you're looking at the other side of the heart, don't worry about that. But again, if you see something that doesn't follow the normal PQRST, and all of a sudden you have an extra in there, then you might get premature ventricular contraction. Okay? This is ventricular fibrillation. What do you notice?
It's all
Yeah. And so we have, nothing that looks like P's, QRS's, and T's. So what is this probably telling you about the flow of electrical activity through the heart? It is totally messed up. And so if the electrical activity is messed up, guess what happens to the pumping activity? Yeah, it's messed up too. So probably your heart is pumping like this. So instead of going this and this, it's going like this. And so what do you do to a heart that's pumping like this?
You would probably
You shock it.
Shock it.
Why do you shock it?
It would reset the pacemaker.
Yeah. So what you want to do when you shock it is you want to stop the heart. Stop all the electrical activity by giving it a huge depolarization, making it all repolarize at the same time, and then going like this and hoping that your SA node takes over and gets a normal rhythm going back through the heart again. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, guess what happens to you? You die. All right? So this completely ineffective pumping, we want to stop it. We want to let it restart itself, and hopefully you'll get normal again.
How, is that like a heart attack? Like, can you live for a while like that, or?
Like this?
Or is it like 15 minutes and you're dead?
Probably not even that much, because if you're not pumping blood at all, and you're probably not pumping very much, if at all, remember your brain is going to be able to survive for what, about 6 minutes? And so what could you do in the meantime? CPR, absolutely. And so you're going to, that completely ineffective heart, you're just going to overrule it, and you're going to pump the blood through manually. If you can do that and keep it circulating, as long as you're still breathing, and even if you weren't breathing, if you can keep circulating that blood, there's enough oxygen in there, as we'll learn when we do the respiratory system, to keep you alive for more than 6 minutes. And so if you've been paying attention to CPR at all, you might have noticed that there's a new trend in CPR. When I learned it, it was, 30 compressions or 15 compressions and 2 breaths or something like that. And now they're saying, skip the breath, just do the compression. And that's because there's a lot of sort of extra oxygen that is stored in your blood. So you use a very small fraction of the oxygen, maybe 25%, every time it circulates through your body. And that's, a minute or so. And so you can get by with not having the breathing part for a little longer than you might expect.
That and keep up for
Yeah. Don't be touching my lips, right? All right. Unless I'm having a heart attack, then whatever.
So what would cause that?
What would cause this?
Yeah.
It could be that you had death of heart muscle, so that the electrical signals are not being transmitted through the heart like they should, in which case, even if you shot them, you're probably not going to get a normal rhythm.
Would an electrical shock cause something like this? Like if you were doing electrical work and you get shocked,
if you had damage to the heart that was ongoing, you might see something that was like this.
Right.
All right, here's that myocardial infarction with the elevated ST segment. See it here? So here's P, QRS, here's T, but this is higher than it should be. Normally it's down on about the same line. All right, and this would be asystole. A means
Without.
And so in that case, we have no electrical activity, which means that you're pretty much going to be
Dead.
dead.